much.
Genuinely, that is a massive problem. As someone who's ran a magazine and brands and retailers for most of my career in cannabis spanning 8 years, I can tell you that brands do not have their shit together when it comes to living, breathing assets. Sorry if you're a brand. Talk to him. You'll learn something, or maybe you'll teach him something. All right, 2 more panels left. Before we get to the reception, please just do us a favor, bring some noise, bring some energy. We got these 2 panels left, and we really want to make sure that they have your undivided attention. So put your hands together, and let's welcome Todd Johnson up on stage to moderate this next one about Trenton.
Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. Yeah, you can. Don't be scared. All right. Welcome to Inside Trenton panel. My name is Todd Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of the New Jersey Cannabis Trade Association, and I am joined here by 3 of my esteemed colleagues in the industry. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matha Figaro. Hi, I see so many friends. I'm the CEO of CannPowerment, Class 2 Manufacturing, New Jersey. Also CEO and founder of everyone's favorite edible, butter cake.
Woo. Hello, everybody. Woo! I need something for the crowd. Come on, a little bit of something. My name is Nicolas. I'm the CEO of Prolific Growhouse. We are a cultivation company, also with a manufacturing company, and soon to be dispensary owners in New Jersey also.
There you go.
Hello, everybody. Mike McQueeny. I'm a partner in... Oh, thank you.
Hey, woo!
No one cheers the attorneys. That's okay. Partner and one of the co-chairs of our cannabis and hemp group at Foley, Hoag. Also general counsel to the New Jersey Cannabis Trade Association. And I also teach cannabis law and policy at New York Law School.
Excellent. So this panel is all about where the intersection of policy and operations come together. In New Jersey and in cannabis in general, the policies of government impact the everyday operations of the companies that are operating in this space. And I will start with Matha. Matha was actually on stage here 2 years ago at the Benzinga conference, pitching during a founders competition on her business plan, which she won. Congratulations to that 2 years ago. Absolutely. And now 2 years later, she's got product in the marketplace. Everybody knows her name. Matha, talk a little bit about your background, how you got started, how Butter Cake came to be, and maybe about fundraising as an entrepreneur, and how you got started with the funding.
So I started Butter Cake in 2015 right here in Jersey City, up the street, 311 Washington Street. And so to be here today is actually pretty exciting. It was legacy for quite some time, and then December of 2021, New Jersey flipped a switch. And my buddy from the 3rd grade, Jimmy, said, Matha, I know everybody's telling you got to have a dispensary or a bakery or something lame like that. But he knew that manufacturing was where it was at, and so he spent about 6 months trying to convince me to leave my lovely little trap to go into the legal world. That experience was actually really, really difficult to the point where I personally don't feel the need to ever go after another license anywhere else. It was a lot. We poured in all of our savings, the 2 of us, into, at that time, literally just getting our foot in the door. We went the conditional route, which costs a ton of money. And at that time, and I think it's still applicable today, if there's any lawyers in the room, let me know. But you go the conditional route, you can't necessarily raise off of equity, because I have to hold this equity for a certain period of time. And so most investors don't believe in any one human that much with their millions of dollars. Not that I even raised that much, but it's just so hard to convince somebody to do that when you can't sign on a piece of paper that they can have 3% of your business. Even if they look like you, even if they check all the same boxes as you, it's still just not feasible. And so pretty much fundraising for me looked like moving out of Jersey, taking myself and my team over to Delaware, where we partnered with Columbia Care at the time, and the deal basically was, you know how to manufacture a product that we don't know, and we want you to come in and we'll pay you to do the job. And I was like, yeah, no problem. So did that for a little bit, and I learned a ton. And by going through that experience, I found the sweet spot in the regulations for New Jersey, and I was able to fill it with, more than a soft lozenge. And here we are today with baked goods and chocolates and syrups and tinctures and, tinctures were already here, beverages. So
Strips.
It's very exciting. That's how I got
missed
here.
the strips.
Yeah, the strips are fire.
Yeah, that was some innovation right there. Great. Dave, you also got your start in the legacy market, but you now have a cultivation and manufacturing operation. No offense to Matha, but cultivations are a little bit more expensive to build. Why don't you talk about how you got your start and open up your cultivation and prolific Growhouse, which has been, by everything I hear on Reddit, a fantastic brand, and folks are loving it out there in the marketplace.
Yeah. So I first got started back in 2021 through the licensing process. It took us about 2.5 years to finally get licensed and have our annual license. Going into the market, I entered it the same way I entered the legacy market. You have to do what you have to do to make your company survive. Whether it's working with other cultivators to help each other out, get brands going, or growing your own product. Both avenues work for a business. At the end of the day, it is a business. You have families to feed, along with bills to pay, and just growing the business as a whole. For us, when we first started off, my good friend Matha over here, she helped me out in the very beginning, making me some valuable connections to help us get to this 2-year mark, which we just previously achieved this January. I approached the game from a different angle. I knew New Jersey needed one thing, that was cultivar. From our end, there wasn't enough flower in New Jersey. So from my perspective, I came in on the branding side of things. Branding-wise, on our marketing team has just done a phenomenal job in getting the brand out, getting it recognized, getting us into multiple states just off of brand awareness, pushing the marketing aspect of everything has been what has made our company excel to the level that we're at right now. We started off with 3 employees my first day working at Prolific. We're now at 30 employees.
Incredible.
It's a lot of milestones. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. For us, it's still the beginning. Our license is micro. Right now, we're actually trying to expand out our facility to keep up with the market, because right now the market, as I mentioned, there's still a lack of flower in the market, lack of good flower at that. The prices are still too high compared to New York, Missouri, and other markets. New Jersey's prices are still too high, which is affecting the consumers. For us, we're here for the people, the folks that buy our products, and we're always going to give a value product to our consumers, and one that meets up to the high standards too.
Crispies.
Yes.
And also, if you guys don't know, Matha and I just recently had a collaboration, Prolific Growhouse X Butter Cake. We just dropped our Churro Latte Rice Krispie treat. You guys should try that.
Nice.
It's definitely a winter treat.
Yes, very reasonably priced, because we literally did this one for the culture.
Love
You
it.
can find it at Nature's Motivation in Irvington.
Love it. So let's talk about that. So, Matha, you are in Delaware and New Jersey. Dave, you are in Missouri, New York, and New Jersey. And Mike, you've done deals all up and down around the country, but especially up and down the East Coast. Let's take some pros and cons of what is it like operating in New Jersey versus some of the other states out there. You talked about branding. Is Jersey more restrictive, less restrictive? How would you kind of grade Jersey on just on a branding perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start off. I mean, I think even if we can compare with New York, right? Like New York requires brands to get their own licenses, right? Which to a certain extent, I mean, maybe it's not that much work, but it's also a little bit of a barrier to entry. I think New Jersey treats brand partnerships relatively reasonable, right? And I think this is a good global point for all businesses, right? I mean, like you can have your own brands, but if you can also be a platform for other brands, it's found money and found opportunity.
I'll touch on that a little bit. As far as branding, compared to states, New Jersey, in my opinion, is one of the more stricter states when it comes to marketing. As some of you in this room know, I do own a Cybertruck that I marketed my company off of. Even that brought certain attention from the CRC that, in my opinion, was unnecessary because aside from myself, Matha has a brand. He has a brand for his clients. We all have to market a certain way. New Jersey, they don't allow us to do any billboards. We have to go to Pennsylvania to do that. Even with the vehicles, wrapping the vehicles, they're giving us a hard time, small fines, but these are things that are helping, like,
build your brand awareness.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Get awareness to the brand. So, without the state opening up its avenues to smaller businesses like ourselves and other brands to explore marketing avenues such as billboards in New Jersey on the way to Atlantic City or ones that are bordering New York, I think it's going to be hard to grow because social media, as you all know, your pages will shut down from advertising there. Yep. So it's like, who's really working with us? When you go to Pennsylvania, you can get a billboard, can market how you want. New York, I'm not too familiar with the rules, but I know the Cybertruck won't get a ticket in New York for like New Jersey will give you a ticket for. But I'd say overall, from my experiences, Missouri has been very lax with marketing. They allow a lot of consumption events. They also allow you to advertise on billboards. They allow you to wrap buses to bring, clients from a conference to your dispensary. They allow a lot of things that New Jersey doesn't. I definitely think Jersey should open up the rules and change it a little bit. But this is where we're at currently.
And let's also talk about the irony, and then we'll go to the opportunity, right? The irony is CRC will say cannabis companies cannot have a billboard. For anyone who's driven into Atlantic City, you will see that the Cannabis Regulatory Commission has a billboard on the way to Atlantic City. Now, the other thing, and I think we'll talk about it more in a couple of minutes, but what I'll say is we're seeing incremental steps towards improvement, right? We saw a bill that got passed either at the end of last year, early part of this year, that reduced marketing restrictions and saying that 71.6% of your audience has to be 21 or above. They lowered that to 50%. I mean, I think the balance the CRC is trying to strike is certainly we don't want cannabis advertisements at school properties, but there's a big range of opportunity beyond that to help businesses just get in front of the consumers that you're trying to win. It's a busy marketplace. Our conversations with the CRC all the time focuses on the fact of, again, no disrespect to hemp operators, but they market aggressively. They've gotten social media companies to believe that they're doing so compliantly and legally. So our message to the CRC is our competition is out there and smoking us on advertising. Just allow us to compete on equal footing.
I found, Mike, you and I have worked extensively on advertising rules as well as other policies at the state level, and I think that is key right there. Dispensaries don't have the ability to market the way they want to let consumers know that this is a state legal business. All of our products are tested. All of our products are safe. You can come in here with confidence. I don't think outside of this room, just a normal consumer understands when they walk into a store or a smoke shop that store is not selling products that have been tested, and maybe they have, but I've also seen a lot of fake COAs out there, certificates of analysis, and so it really is imperative for operators in the legal market to be able to market themselves, to create brand awareness, but also to bring consumers in so that consumers know the difference between an illicit operator and a state legal one.
Yeah, and I'll just say, like, incrementally, I think we're getting there, right? Like, so for anyone who's an operator in the room, the CRC, basically put out feelers at the end of last year that saying, tell us ways we can cut down on red tape, right? We got a brand new governor. One of Governor Sherrill's first actions was Executive Order number 7 that directed all agencies, how do we cut red tape? How do we make the administrative and bureaucratic costs of operating a business in the state of New Jersey less? So again, kind of a call to action for everyone. I know a lot of operators independently reached out to the CRC and explained those headaches. I know trade groups like the New Jersey Cannabis Trade Association did that, but everyone in this room should continue to pepper the CRC. We are their stakeholders. Like, they may not be elected, but they're still accountable to us. And you have a direction from the brand new governor saying, please tell me how to cut down on red tape, and it's incumbent on everyone in this room to direct them how to do exactly that, including on advertising.
I would love to also chime in on that. So something for me that I got to realize going through this process is that the way I market and advertise and brand is much different compared to everybody else in the market because I'm selling food technically. And so a lot of the regulations are written where we cannot sample food in a dispensary. Somebody can't even have a bottle of water. So when somebody's walking into a dispensary, and same thing goes with gummies, technically all these gummies we're out here giving away for free, non-infused, that's not technically in compliance with what's going on. And so if you're an operator in the state, please pick up the pen, call the CRC, and we need some more flexibility on this. Consumers should be able to try what they're getting ready to buy non-infused, especially on the food sense, because that is how we communicate what our products are. The same thing with the bud tenders and educating them so that they can try these products and tell consumers what it is that they may or may not experience. It's really, really important. And so for me and for the Buddy Cake and CannPowerment brands that involve edibles and digestible goods, advertising has been the most ultimate red tape.
And let's compare other markets on the East Coast, right? Maryland has explicit rules that allows that expressly authorizes you to give out trade samples, to give out employee samples, and we've seen, I think, some instances with the CRC raising issues with pennying out samples and stuff like that, especially when it's done on volume. But it's just like, it goes back to this core point. Just because they say you can't do it doesn't mean it makes sense. And the more you make it, the more you educate them on why it doesn't make sense is the only pathway to get them to change those rules.
And Matha, I know you and I have had numerous conversations about how to get policies to move forward that may not be in place now. You work on the policy committee with the New Jersey Cannabis Business Association. I know I have been in front of the CRC at public meetings. I've also been down in Trenton at the legislature at committee hearings, providing testimony on how things can be made better for our operators. What are some of the policies that you think we need moving forward to help operators be successful?
So a policy I feel very strongly about right now is the need for edibles to be up to 100 milligrams without unnecessary scoring and demarcation. So, for instance, the peanut butter and jelly brownie is the state's #1 selling brownie. Obviously, we're the only one that exists. However, I can't serve markets that require more than 10 milligrams, and it's not healthy for somebody that wants 40 milligrams to have to eat 4 peanut butter and jelly brownies, but also it's not technically feasible, it's not economically feasible for me to have to invest basically millions of dollars into equipment that doesn't exist to satisfy one piece of regulation. And so there needs to be an intersection between how we operate in real life and those practices and the laws, rules, and regulations that are made. And I kind of feel like that's why I exist. I just tell them what's happening in real time and on the ground, and hopefully those kinds of interactions with lawmakers and with regulators help change things.
Great. Dave, you want to take that?
Yeah, for myself, just having a brief conversation behind stage. I think from my end, a policy that I would like to see be implemented is the interstate commerce. Interstate commerce, as I mentioned, in New Jersey right now, getting flower is scarce. Like, there's not enough. If we have more availability coming from other neighboring states, such as California, Washington, West Coast states, along with all the other recreational states, if they created some sort of policy that was similar to how we have guns in the United States, where, for example, you can fly from Pennsylvania to Florida, along with how many other states?
Is this a gun question?
Yeah.
I'm not the gun guy.
Sorry, I had to ask the attorney. But you can fly to multiple states that have agreements in place, with states like Pennsylvania. I'd like to see an interstate commerce policy go out that's kind of similar to that, because, if you have a gun license, for example, in New Jersey, you can't cross the bridge to go to Pennsylvania with that gun. But if you have a gun license in Pennsylvania, as I mentioned, you can go to Florida, you can go to, numerous of other states, Virginia, those down south states. If they create an interstate commerce, alliance or policy that was similar to that, I think that would open up a lot of avenues for cultivators, manufacturers, because there's times where there's no, like, cultivators are growing and there's no product to sell a retail client, and there's times when a retail client, can't get their hands on product because they might not be able to afford the product. Demographics of the inner city have been an issue when it comes to product affordability. And getting good product is also another issue in New Jersey, which I think interstate commerce would help out. The feds are already eating off of our tax dollars. I just had to pay taxes this year. Don't want to tell you how much that was. But you got the feds along with the state, along with the city. The feds should just open up interstate commerce and allow states that have recreational licenses available to work with each other. I think there will be more money made. They like tax dollars, so I think it would go a long way.
Absolutely. I know one area that the New Jersey Cannabis Trade Association has really been beating the drum is on expiration dates in the marketplace. It makes it very difficult. Right now, there's pretty much a blanket 6-month expiration for all products, and then individual companies can apply for an extension to 12 months for some of their products. But the vast majority of products in the marketplace right now expire after 6 months, which makes it very difficult for a manufacturer to get product that has been harvested, call it a month and a half ago. Then they get the product into their facility. Once they're done manufacturing their product, bagging it, packaging it, getting it out to dispensaries, sometimes 3 months has gone by, sometimes more, and dispensaries will, after the 2-month mark, dispensaries might start getting worried that the product's not going to be sold, and then they're talking about discounting it or even sending it back. And I think that, we have proven in a number of different cases that there is no degradation of potency or quality between a 6-month and a 12-month mark. So I think this is one of the areas that the NJCTA at least feels that there can be policy changes that help operators, again, be more successful, be more profitable, allow these products that aren't going to go bad right at 6 months to continue to be sold for a longer period of time. I see we only have about 3-4 minutes left. I want to talk a little bit about expansion and what expansion looks like for you all from a personal business perspective, but also from a New Jersey policy perspective. Maybe we'll start, Mike. Can you give an overview of the regs that were passed that allowed for let's say 7 dispensary an entity could invest in 7 dispensaries?
So, we talk a lot about what we want. I think when the legislature acts, like, they're at least signaling, hey, look, we want to continue to tweak this, right? And that's a good thing, right? Like, we established this marketplace, 4 or 5 years ago. Good markets continue to tweak it. Bad markets just kind of sit back on their laurels. So, I mean, I think the good messaging we're getting back from the legislature is how do we prioritize investment, right? So we had 2 pieces of legislation over the last 2 years that basically says, hey, whereas typically you're limited in the ownership that you can have in a number of different licenses, we're going to say if you invest in diversely owned retailers in New Jersey, right? That's certified woman-owned, certified minority-owned, certified disabled veteran-owned, we'll allow you a combination of equity, financing, licensing, and technical assistance. And now you can have an ownership interest in 7 additional licenses, right? And I was just talking to a panel in New York, and one of the questions asked was, like, what's the biggest difference between New York and New Jersey? And my point there was New Jersey's finding a way to incentivize money, right? How often do we hear about money sitting on the sidelines because of ambiguities or vagaries or regulatory restrictions? And at least in that one instance, we've seen diversely owned businesses find the funding because we're incentivizing investors. The other big thing that they just did over the last couple of weeks, and it first happened in the medical a couple months ago, and then they mirrored it in the adult use marketplace. They said if you have 1 retail license, the cap used to be 1 retail license. Now they're saying under that one entity, you can open up 2 additional satellite locations, right? So how do we improve the investability into these individual licenses? How do we make them look better, right? How do we give them greater appeal to the investing marketplace? And again, like, the legislature could do a ton more. The CRC could do a ton more. But at least we're seeing the legislature listen to a certain extent. And then the only other big thing I'll just say on, like, regulatory recommendations, more delegated authority to staff, right? Like, we got a board. You can have your opinions about the board one way or another. It takes months to get something onto agenda. I always say changes of ownership, best case scenario is 4 to 6 months. I've seen it as long as 11 months. We have a great staff at the CRC. And for everyone who experienced that quarantine last week, the fact that so much product got quarantined, they went through their process and they released it, it shows you the leadership that we have at the staff level. We have so much continuity at the staff level. They did such a great job. For anyone who's in the Missouri marketplace and they saw what a similar quarantine led to, which led to a recall, which led to other businesses going out of business, we were on the precipice of that happening last week. And it's because of the great staff that we have at the CRC that has been there since virtually the inception of this program. It's their leadership, their guidance, their ability to problem solve that is a strength of the marketplace. And we just need to delegate more authority for them to improve new investors, to improve new owners, and to improve it quickly, right? Because anytime anyone has any money proposed to be sent to their business, that's the prime question. If it takes me 6 months to do it in New Jersey, but I can do it overnight in New York, well, New York's looking a lot better to me than New Jersey.
Can you all touch on a little bit about what expansion looks like for you and your businesses? Is it going to more states? Is it building out your cultivation facility? Matha, is it more SKUs? I want to hear what the vision looks like.
So on our end, we are expanding onto the retail avenue of this cannabis business. We're entering the vertical stages. Currently myself, I am expanding out my cultivation. When I first started off, everyone thought our facility was fully finished out. We had such a big grow, The list goes on. I started off in a, kid you not, 100 square foot room, and I've built that out to about 2,000 square feet now. Minimal investment. I didn't get millions. I've got a couple 100,000 and friends and family around. Enough to get me started. I turned that couple 100,000 into a couple million. I seen that little small injection, what it did and what it turned into, I just look back and, I'm very thankful for getting that and for getting me here. But if I had a larger injection, especially at the stages that I am right now, the couple million that I turned that into, that would have definitely turned it to a multi-million-dollar business easily overnight. We brought in legacy brands. especially if I had the ability to grow more product. That 1,000 plant count, if I could get my plants up to 10,000 plants, have a state-of-the-art facility, have trusted investors who actually trust, my word and, what I've proven. I think that would be something that I'd look forward to in an expansion. As for our company right now, I still own 98% of the company. The company has expanded to not only Missouri, but we're also entering Kentucky this year also. Shout out to Vivid, my partners down in Missouri. And then we are launching our pre-rolls. We're launching 6 SKUs in New York at the end of the month. That shows his drive. I started off with little, but, I was able to turn nothing actually into something.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Martha, I'll let you go.
Martha,
I'll make it
please.
quick.
Yep.
So in the last 4 months, CannPowerment Class 2 manufacturing has gone fully independent. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. I'm not tied to nobody but me, okay? What we've been able to do is obviously bring the Butter Cake brand, and we've expanded that from 3 SKUs to 7 SKUs all across the market. We are also bringing on new brands, empowering them to success. So you can see Angry Gorilla, sugar-free baked goods also coming, and one of, if not, the first canned actual THC beverage as well. And so we are looking for more partners to come and be a part of what we're building here at CannPowerment. If you have a brand, if you are an extractor and you have input material, not necessarily attached to a brand, but you would love to be called out and shout out on epic packaging, call your girl. This is the year of collaboration.
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Thank you to all of you for joining us. Thank you to our panel, and this has been great discussion. Appreciate it. Shabazz, we'll hand it back over to you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
All right, everybody. We got one more panel left, but what we're going to do, this panel is full of rock stars, and I'm excited to introduce them. But real quick, Efren, can you just toss on